My name is Dayanidhi. I'm the founder of a company called Encore. I've been a 3x entrepreneur, 2x country head of two US-based companies. I've handled about 100 games and currently driving Encore. I have with me very seasoned, stellar entrepreneurs from the gaming industry. Uh, the fun thing is that pretty much the three of us, four of us, have nearly 2 decades of experience and still going in the gaming industry. I will let the gentlemen introduce themselves.
Yeah, I'm Rohit Bhatt. I'm founder of Robosoft, an IT services company and a game services company, and 99 Games, which is a game development and publishing company.
I wish I was a gaming entrepreneur. I'm Shailesh. I'm with Peak 15 Partners. We were formerly Sequoia Capital India. We're an investor in a number of gaming companies and have sold some along the way.
I am Rajesh Rao. I founded Dhruva Interactive way back in 1997, and it was primarily a company that provided game development services to the console games industry. And yeah, sold in 2016, and then again in 19. Twice.
Hi everyone, I'm Nitish Mithisen, founder of Nazara Technologies.
Well, they didn't really require an introduction, but still a formality. Basically, the life of an entrepreneur is like an adventure enthusiast who gets air trapped, let's say, in the middle of a forest, but still finds, his destination. So here we are with with three entrepreneurs who have reached their pinnacles in different ways. Rohit and Rajesh by selling their companies and playing different roles now, and Nitish starting a company that went on to ring the bells at the stock exchange. So we'll just talk about their journeys and learnings, and carry some learnings from this. So this panel is very special. As I said, we bring different experience together of entrepreneurs, and of course, Shailesh is having a ringside view of an entrepreneur's journey, and he will enlighten us with his learnings. The question for Shailesh, I mean, you closely watch entrepreneurs, and VC's role is something that is very close to entrepreneurs. So how did you get started as an investor, and how did your interest in the gaming sector grow?
Yeah, I've been doing this a long time, so almost forgot how I got started. But I joined Sequoia out of business school, and I was always interested in technology and business, and it was venture capital was a great way to express that. Games has been a great area to invest in. It's the largest category of entertainment. It's something that hundreds of millions of people, even in India, do and increasingly spend money on. It's often the thing that pushes forward technology the most. It's quite funny that all of artificial intelligence is built on technology as originally built for games and graphics. And it's something that has pushed audio technology or even like mechanics, game mechanics and incentives are things that really push forward like economic theory. So it's just a fascinating area that is actually a very large business that engages lots of people and incorporates lots of different types of technology, and that's why it's always been of interest. I do have one pet peeve on gaming in India, that I just don't think there's enough entrepreneurs who try and try to build really ambitious, long-lasting, large titles.
Okay, thank you. And Rajesh and Rohit have seen exits. They've got their companies acquired. I just want to ask them as to how is their life now after acquisition?
Rajesh should talk about the life part.
Well, I'm having fun. I'm I'm trying to lead a retired life. I scuba dive with my kids whenever we can. We travel and I cook dinners. That's what I do.
Great. Rohit.
Yeah. I probably, after the exit, for the first couple of months, I took it a little easy, trying to figure out what to do. And then I dove headlong back into building companies and funding companies in small ways. But that's what I'm doing. I didn't stop working. I'm getting more and more busier with each day. Probably what I call as a second innings.
Great. And for entrepreneurs, as actually Nitish himself has said, IPO is not a destination, it's just a milestone. And for a founder who reaches IPO, life becomes QSQT, as he famously said, which is quarter se, quarter tak, where everything has to be focused on each quarter. So how are you seeing your life after IPO, Nitish?
No, it's been fine as long as it's quarter se quarter tak and not quarter se kayamat tak. Right? It's been 3 years since I'm listed, right? So I think it's okay. We have our results coming on the 8th. So on the next quarter's here already. It comes faster and faster. But you get used to it. But it's good, at least from my perspective, before going public, a lot of people said, this is, it scared me, but enjoying it.
Great. Kudos to you. I mean, you are the first one to take a gaming company public, and I hope more will follow from the Indian gaming sector. Back in Digital Chocolate, we did a game called California Gold Rush, and in that game, the protagonist would use all the resources and keep digging till he hits, a gold pot, and in the process would exhaust all the resources. That reminds me of when I'm an entrepreneur, and the game reminds me of the kind of gameplay we had, and it comes so close to an entrepreneur's journey. So I want to understand and want each of the panelists to share as to what kind of challenges they went through while building their respective companies. And we'll start with Rohit and taking it up to acquisition.
Yeah, I think that's one hell of a long story. Yeah, so I think my story started a long time ago, 1996, when I started the company. But I got the gaming story in the entire Robosoft thing started somewhere in 2005 when we started porting titles from Xbox and the consoles, PlayStation and Xbox to PC and Mac. That's our introduction to gaming. We were in services and we just wanted to get into gaming, and that was our easiest way to do that. And I think at that point in time, probably from 2005 to 2010, we must have ported some of the most complicated console titles, from this console to the PC and Mac platform. And then it took a turn in 2008 when App Store happened, and because we were long-time partners of Apple in Robosoft, we got a chance to work with the pre-release SDK. We started building apps, and as a company, we transitioned, from a desktop company building desktop apps, all the way to mobile app. We did the transition in three years, and we were probably one of the first to see the advantages of building apps as a service for third-party companies and games as a service for third-party companies. And somewhere along the line, by 2013 around, we thought that the gaming opportunity is too good, and we should start building our own games as well. And we stopped doing the services part from the gaming side and focused on building our own games. So we are a company which had a long service story, and pivoted some part of it to building a dedicated product entity, which is 99 Games, which was not part of the transaction when we exited. When I exited, I only sold the services part of it. 99 Games is a business which I still continue to run. Very passionate about gaming, and we I sold the company, that is Robosoft, in 2021. Very happy that a Japanese company came, and I started my career after my college in Japan. I was working with that company for 3 years, and finally a Japanese company came down all the way to where my company was, which is Udupi, a small place in Karnataka. They bought the company, gave me an exit, and I said, look, I got this exit after a very hard and tiring journey. It was hard and tiring. In between, I had 2 rounds of investment, one in 2013 from Kalari, 2015 in UTI Ventures, SN Capital. Happy to give both the investors, very strong exits. One of them got 6x, one of them got 7x exit in that time frame. Very happy that I could give that. And I politely asked them, look, now that I've given you a great exit, can I buy back your shares in 99 Games? And I bought back their shares. And I told them, look, gaming companies need to be built in a different way, and let me focus on building this company in my way, because the fire in me is still there. I want to see if we can build something unique and huge out of India, either for the global market or for the Indian market, and the journey goes on. So it's a fully owned company now. I might raise funding in future again, but for now, it is privately owned and not owned by any outside investors.
Great. Rajesh, how was your journey?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I think I was very young and very stupid to start a gaming company in 1997. I started out of college, a multimedia company in 1995. And then 2 years later in 97, I met a evangelist from Intel who was selling games as the next big thing, because they were doing the Pentium chip. And so we got excited and we got into games, built a game engine. Once we had that, went around showing our engine and trying to convince people to work with us, because there was no market yet in India for us to sell and to be an IP company. So we had to do services. So that's how we started. We, built that portfolio slowly and steadily. We had just one round of funding, less than $500,000, by a gaming industry veteran who kind of liked what we were doing, and he said, "Let me support you guys." We didn't ask for the money; he gave it. So we tried to be both a services and a products company, and then realized that it just doesn't work. And so we doubled down on services, because we knew that was what we had gotten. Because 10, 15 years of doing that, and you have a core team which is really very services focused, and very difficult to pivot from there. So we just doubled down on services. We had earned a very, very good reputation as a very reliable, very high quality services company. So we said, let's just do that. So we stayed away from low end, focused on high end AAA content creation, took on very complex work. It was very hard to scale, because we needed talent that was of that caliber. So in 20 years, we managed to grow to only 350 people, but we were 350 very good people. And so one of our clients wanted to do a lot more work with us, and we had a policy that no client will be more than 20% of our business. We did not want customer concentration. So, and when we said, we can't do more with you, then they finally came and said, why don't we buy you? And it had been 20 years. I'd had my angel investor who was very patient. He was not bothering us. But I said, it is my responsibility to give my shareholders a return, and for myself, because I was all in, right? So that's how the transaction happened. It was a Swedish company which came and bought us in 2016. But then, as it turned out, that Swedish company got into trouble, and so they had to go into Chapter 11 in Sweden. So I recommended to them, why don't you sell Dhruva? Because it's still very valuable, and you can get some money back. So they asked me to run the mandate. So I sold my company the second time, and this time it was to Rockstar. And that was in 2019. And then since it was going to become an internal studio, it was mainly for them, it was a talent acquisition. There was no business to run. So then I decided that it's time for me to leave. So that's my story, yeah.
Great, great. And Shailesh, you have had a ring view of founders going through the journey. What are your observations as a venture capital professional?
Yeah, one of the coolest parts of what we get to do is see how a person who starts a company with an idea, often very naive, without understanding all the things, what the journey will be like, and how that person grows up, and how they can now do things that they never could have imagined along the way. And yeah, games is something that takes a lot of effort to build a game, and it takes a lot of upfront effort. And you get quick feedback from the market on whether it's appreciated or not. And if it is appreciated, games are something that you still need to keep engaging for years to come. That you need to give someone a reason to open up that app or fire up that console game over and over again. And increasingly, as games have been connected the last many years, that maintaining interesting live ops or new forms of content or new mechanics is increasingly part of it. And so the game developer needs to be certainly someone who's very talented technically to build something out, have a lot of patience to be able to build before getting any feedback, and then needs to really understand their users and keep a pulse of the economy and what their most engaged and valuable users are doing. So it requires many different hats and personas and a style of working that it's very interesting to see how people grow up and are able to navigate all this.
Oh, thank you. And Nitish, I know you have had a session just recently, a few minutes ago about your journey. But if you have to just highlight as to how you started it till you got to the IPO stage, how has your journey been?
Sure, it's been a long journey for us. I really started as a 7-year-old, gamer, trying to code games. And that's what I've really done for the last 35 years because I don't know how to do anything else. That's my secret. But yeah. And Shailesh knows he's been on my board for some time, I think. No, Shailesh? Few years.
He's also a very good jazz player.
Yeah,
He's a very good saxophone player.
Yeah. But yeah, it's started it in college, 16, 17, very early in the market, maybe a decade or more too early. But we kind of persevered over the years, found our ways, navigated our ways, and got till the IPO. We IPO'd in the 21st year of our company's existence. Time to grow up as an adult. And now it's been 3 years. It's been a good time till now, touch wood.
Okay, great. So just for the benefit of the audience, since we have been on this side of the table, especially in an M&A scenario, for Rajesh and Rohit, what do you think the investors look for in a company, when they are looking at an acquisition? And I would later go to Shailesh from his point of view, who facilitates acquisitions. So what is your learning across the table as a seller, being on the sell side, understanding the expectations of a buyer?
Okay, so typically buyers are strategics or of course, it could be investors too, maybe a PE or someone larger than that. But the best situation to be is when someone comes asking to buy you and you're not trying to sell. That's when you get the best value for your company. And I think in terms of what would make someone want to buy you is really about the value proposition that you have created. In our case, we said we will be a very high-end 3D content creation services shop. We wanted to be a products company, We realized it was too early. We were doing services for a long time, decided let's just double down on what we are good at. And then we said, let's just be the best in this. It was very hard because it was quite easy to say, let's do some low end work and become 1,000 people. But we deliberately chose not to do that. And we chose the hard path. But that's what attracted people to us. We were working on some of the biggest games, some of the biggest console games in the world. And we could have done each year for the last 5 years that I ran it, we could have done 3 times the turnover, but we just didn't have enough people. There was more business than we could manage for a long time. I mean, it was not the case like this for many of the beginning early years. We died many deaths and survived. But you have to create value that is very rare and scarce. This is really a services company perspective. I mean, for an IP company, it will be really about the game, how much, how well it is doing, and quality of the IP and the longevity of the IP. And Sailesh can talk a lot about that because they do a lot more of investing into such companies.
Right.
But yeah, that's just what I feel. If you have an intention to sell, and by the way, I feel that every company should be open to a sale. Because as we are here to create value for shareholders, and you're yourself a shareholder. There are some people who are very married and say, no, never sell. I said, company should always be. Any offer comes, take it to your board, and have a discussion. You may say no 9 out of 10 times, but you should always take it to the board.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, I think in our case, when our second investor came in, that is Ascent Capital came in, our services and product business were in one entity, and we knew that exits would be different and probably fundraising requirements would be different. So we had forked the company, when that investment itself happened, and they continued at 2 separate entities. So when the time of the exit came, in 2020, around 2020, we decided that it was time for us to sell the company, and we knew we were going towards that. So we had hired a CEO to run the company in Robosoft, and it's a professional CEO we got from outside, and we spent a couple of years getting him up to speed. And by the time we started the whole process of sale, I think everything about the business was looking really good. Gross margins were high, strong pipeline, strong bottom line was good, which is what that particular business is about. Very good MIS. I think these things are very important when you're making a sale, right? The numbers should all be down in a metric, and having an investor is very, very helpful for anybody in any business because it brings a certain kind of discipline. We used to go through the same thing. We used to have a month-on-month meeting. Ever since we got investment, it was month-on-month. There used to be happen or like a clockwork. Every month, there's a meeting, and we were answerable for that, and it brings in a certain kind of diligence. And when it was time for us to exit, we hired it was in the middle of COVID, and we hired a global agency to do the global sale process. And by then, Robosoft had a very good name in the industry because we were doing cutting edge work. We had some of the best clients in the world for whom we were doing work for. So, I think in the work front, it was good. The kind of people we had was, very good. We had a 1,000+ team already known for the work that we did. And finally, when it came to the shortlist, we had 3 suitors, one strategic and 2 PE players. Oh. And the strategic was from Japan, and the PE player, one was from Europe and one was from US. And we had a investment banker to run the process. And again, we did the same, exercise with all 3 of them. Who would, retain the brand was more important for me because, it's a brand that you have built over a long period of time, and I wanted to make sure that it survives and, probably, grows from there. And I was, sure that the Japanese guys were very serious that they want to build the brand because, they were a workforce agency and they wanted to get into IT services, and their terms were good. Everything seemed good, and we went ahead with that. But what really helped was having a person dedicatedly running the company. So which meant as soon as the sale happened, I was out of the business. Okay, I was in the board for a year when the transition happened, but other than that, I didn't have to worry about anything. So I think that's the way. If you're planning an exit, get somebody to run the company for some time, so that the team is accustomed to that new person. The new management is accustomed to that person, and you get your peace of mind that once you have sold something, it is somebody else's company, and it's in safe hands as well. But yeah, I think that's how it went for us.
I see. Shailesh, your view?
Yeah, games are like all analytics. There's tons of data. All these gentlemen would have looked at lots and lots of metrics on a daily, hourly basis when they were running game titles. And there's lots of things that are industry best practice or normal metrics for games. And similarly for different categories of game, if you're building a social casino game, if you're building a card game, if you're building a sports game, there are reasonably well understood ideas of what customers should be paying, what acquisition cost should be for that genre, what the lifetime of that title is. And with that, there are also very, very well-known trading multiples. Games is a very liquid M&A market. There's lots of advisors that help you sell your company or sell your game when it reaches some level of maturity. And it's a pretty, our experience has been that they can tell you within plus minus 20% of what it'll be worth right up front. And the people around the world that they'll take you to potentially buy it are going to pay within those ranges. What's also interesting is that there's a number of people who are strategics who just buy up multiple games. There's a series of companies that do roll-ups of gaming titles and either try to do some operational improvement or just use that as a larger platform to go public or raise financing. They do a bunch of financial engineering. So they're also an important factor in selling a gaming company. I think selling the gaming company is relatively the easier part. It's much harder to make a game that people like.
Very true.
And just to add to that, one of the things that we were grappling in 2021, markets were at a high, and our investors were very keen to take the company public. At least one of the investors was very keen to take the company public, and for me personally, it meant that I would be tied to the company for another 3 years. And I told him, look, my heart is not here. I need to take this exit because, when the heart is not there, what is the point of running that business? And I said, look, let's get for a strategic buyout itself or a PE buyout and let not go public. So I think that's also very important. If you're going public, it's a different ball game altogether.
Yeah, so similarly, we had that point where we were thinking, what should we do? And we came very close to doing a roll-up strategy like keywords. And I even had a PE which was willing to finance the whole thing. And then I said, this is going to be a long ride, right? And I was ready. I said, no, I can't do this for another 15 years. And so I decided not to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a brave guy.
Yes, he is. So, Neeraj, you pick up majority stake or look at acquiring companies. What do you look for in such companies? What's your philosophy there?
Good sustainable profitability so that I can keep my quarterly numbers in place. Right? But yeah, I think it's a mix of companies generating good cash flows, sustainable cash flows for us, as well as opportunities that can continue to lead us into new areas. And in business like gaming, there's always something new happening. At this point of time, you have Web3 happening, you have VR happening, you have AI happening. So I think it's a balancing game that you need to keep playing, especially once you're listed. where you have to deliver your revenues, your profits, especially in a market like India, which is still quite profit EBITDA sensitive and earnings sensitive. At the same time, you have to keep reinventing the company into the new world. Otherwise, you'll kind of get outdated. That's what we'll really do.
The Indian stock market will not have the patience to let a company like Amazon happen, taking so long to become profitable. No, that won't happen.
Right.
I mean, you saw it in recent times, right? All the Indian tech stocks got hammered so badly till the time. All of them decided that we are going to try and show profitability.
Right.
And that's when the prices are also recovering now.
Okay. Great. So, if you just turn the time reverse and let's say you are at the age when you started your entrepreneurial journey and your startups, but with all the learnings today you have, what are the top 3 learnings that you would like to share, or the mistakes that you would have avoided to make the milestone come earlier than how fast it came in your cases?
Yeah, don't be young and stupid and start a company without any knowledge. So,
think so?
I think so. But it's please work, learn, build some rigor, build your chops. Then don't take too long because then you will not be able to do it. So 5-6 years, maybe work somewhere, gain some experience, and then I think that would be a good way to start. I mean, if you look at now in India, the people who are ex-Zynga, more than 25-30 companies have gotten funded, and that's because they've learned the chops. I mean, they've learned how to monetize. They've learned how to product manage, and so those learnings are very valuable.
Right.
And what it means is you will not be learning on the job and burning money that you've raised learning on the job.
And going to the brink of probably.
Yeah. So I mean, equity is very expensive. And you cannot afford to burn that money on because you're learning on the job. No, it's a very foolish thing to do.
Okay. So that's one learning. Any other do you want to share? Don't start early is one you said.
I would maybe take the other side of that. I think you should start early. Because unless you're a little bit foolish, you'll never start. If you're
That is true. Because I know there are a lot of people who took too long and then that risk appetite goes away. Family kicks in and
Yeah.
so don't wait for too long, but also don't start like raw like I did. I think it was a stupid idea. But anyway, I did it, but
I think there's never been a better time to start a gaming company.
yeah, I wish
particularly-
I was 25 now.
Yeah,
This is fantastic.
that we're just such the early innings of gaming, and I think that's why investors love Nazara as much as they do. That will this be the largest? It's not yet in India. Games are not the largest entertainment service yet, but they will be for sure. And there's going to be lots and lots of opportunities.
Yeah, I think, my learning, one of the learning is don't mix services and products.
Yeah, don't mix it.
That's my biggest learning in life.
Doesn't work. Just does not work.
You'll get torn between the two, forever. So, just don't do it. A lot of people come to me and ask me what is their advice, and I see them doing services and product. There's a lot of avenues for funding right now. You get grants and you get, a lot of funds that are willing to do. So a lot of angels, willing to bet on you. Do the right stuff and you'll find some backers, but don't mix the two. It's a horrible thing. Don't get into it. Second thing is, I think there's no right time and age, for starting. If you feel you are ready to start, I think, you should start a company. If there's an opportunity that you're seeing, you should start it. And I agree with Shailesh, it's the best time probably to start a company. And this again, whenever I come to IGDC, I spend as much time as I can in the expo floor and just feel the energy there. And this time the energy is, it's at a different level altogether. I think we're slowly getting there in terms of technology and technical quality of games and art quality of games. I think a lot needs to be done on the economy aspect, the design aspect, those things are still, we still have a long way to go on that front. But I think in the next few years, as more companies get exit and more seasoned founders are out there, and then the newer founders will get those learnings, and we'll start seeing really good quality games for the Indian market. I'm very excited. Certain things are solved, certain things are on the way to get solved, and guys, I think it's a great time right now.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a question for everybody here, because we're on this topic of M&A and exits. And please, I made this statement at the event we were at earlier this week, Nitish, and to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe any gaming company that's raised venture capital has lost money. I can't think of an example. Can you think of any examples from India? Like, has any investment in gaming been not a profitable outcome for the investors? That's, might have been at least money back.
In India, you mean?
In India. I can't think of anyone who's really lost money.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, we haven't had too many deals.
We have not, and I think there's a shortage of supply.
We'll see now. Because
I hope
now
so. I mean, failure is good.
last 3-4 years, we've now had a lot more deals
Yeah.
in terms of investments.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we will see whether there will be failures in that cohort of companies.
Yeah.
But in the past, there were very few that were actually funded at by proper institutional tier 1 VCs.
Yeah. All those, I think, have been good outcomes.
I don't know what the RMG investors are right now thinking, though.
RMG, I think, is going to be fine. This taxation is probably good.
I think they'll be fine. Personally, think that what has come is clarity.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, it comes with a bit of pain of the fact that 28%, whatever, but I think they will get by.
Yeah, I think it'll have a modest impact on operating.
There'll be down rounds, for sure, but
They're all profitable. They don't need any money.
Super.
yeah.
It's been a wonderful area to build companies in, and there's not enough.
Yeah,
I think for this industry, right now in India, I think you need a lot more micro VCs. Probably operator-backed micro VCs. Are the need of a hour, because a lot of founders out there. No, I'm not going to take the name, but I think a lot of companies. The founders, the enthusiasm is great. Okay, a lot of support at the pre-series A, Series B level. But the pure play financial investors, they don't have the right kind of probably the understanding of the ecosystem to really take a bet early, and micro VCs should do it. Somebody like Nazara should also do it. The 1 crore check size, 50 lakhs to 1 crore check size. I think a lot of companies can take that, and I think as an industry, if we fund some 50 to 60 companies, it will create a crop for the next level to come up faster, and probably accelerate the whole process of gaming investment in India.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We just announced something around that.
I agree, but I also think that there needs to be larger investments in building like really good AAA type titles as well. That it's much more risk, but those are the real long-lasting, very valuable franchises that can create it. And obviously, we're speaking from a biased, what works for venture capital perspective, but there needs to be that as well.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great opportunity to build a long-term franchisee from India. I think you can build great franchises for the next 10 years, 20 years. I think this is the right time. And I think that should happen more often.
Right. All right. So it was really insightful to hear from the seasoned entrepreneurs. And I really hope with the signs that we are seeing, trends we are seeing in India, there are going to be more and more mergers and acquisitions. And I really want to come back and do the panel, probably having some of you in the audience coming over here and sitting in the panel. Let's hope that happens. Now it's time for any questions and answers. Do we have any questions from the audience?
I think co-founder mix is super important too, right? You have a geek-heavy group. It's not good. Yeah.
Hi, I am Devdatta. Sorry for my voice. It's really bad.
Hold closer.
Yeah. I am Devdatta from Pro Shooter VR. I've been foolish enough to start my AR VR company 10 years ago and currently building Pro Shooter VR, which is world's first Olympic style shooting sports game. So my question to Shailesh is basically when you see uh, VR gaming companies uh, pitching to you for investments, what do you see? How do you evaluate them?
VR?
Virtual reality.
Yeah. I think VR has been about to almost happen for many, many years. And we've made a few VR investments, and that's been the biggest struggle, that it's still not happened. Now, maybe next year is different when Vision Pro launches and it becomes more mainstream. But I remember I was speaking to someone recently, and he made an interesting point, which is that we don't actually need virtual reality. Virtual reality is in your head. You read a book and it takes you to a different place. For many people, putting on a headset is disorienting and it gives them vertigo and other issues. That it is not clear if virtual reality is going to be as mainstream as maybe Mr. Zuckerberg wants it to be. So we've been a little bit cautious on at least content or titles for it so far, just because the early stuff we've done has not worked, largely because the category has not happened yet.
But I must tell you that he is very gung-ho about VR, so you should be talking to him and not him.
Yeah, thank you so much for the talk. It was really inspiring to be here. Listening to all the journeys, condensing in just 45 minutes. It's really insightful to hear it from you. My question is basically two questions. It's very obvious the game industry is growing in India. Now, if you start a new company, how do you build a new team, and what are the products you chase for? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, it was not very audible.
Yes. So, as when you start a new company now, after your exit, with all your experience, considering what is waiting for India in terms of game industry, how do you build a team for that going forward? And what are the different products you will aim for?
Can you just speak without the mic?
Yeah, probably you come to the front and speak. I think that will be more effective.
Don't take the mic.
Maybe I'll try again.
Come close and ask.
No, don't take the mic. Just speak without the mic.
Okay, I was saying thank you for the talk, but
How big will be the team and what kind of products?
Team will depend on what you're going to do, right? I mean, some genres are very content heavy, then you will end up needing a lot more people in the content team. Some could be tech heavy, so it depends on the product that you're doing. And in terms of what we could do, I would really do a lot of market. Personally, I would do something where there's a lot more local content, social, cultural context of India in that game. Because I think my belief, personal belief, has been that Indians love Indian content. Our music, our television, our movies prove that. All the deepest pockets in the world have not been able to say we can force our international content onto the Indians. And I don't see why games will be any different. So I would make games for India. I would you look at some of these, look at the regional languages. That's very strong. The Telugu movie industry, that says something, that there's an affinity to your culture, your ethnicity, So I think I would go down that path, definitely. I mean, it's easy to build a game for the world, and many people would, it may sound logically the right thing to do at this point in time, because the Indian market is just taking off, and maybe monetization is still beginning to happen. But if you look at Lumikai's report yesterday, I think this is a good time to start. I mean, more than a good time to start, and people are making money, and so I would build games for India with Indian content, with local languages involved, song and dance involved, drama,
All right. That's it from this panel. Hope you have some takeaways from this. And thanks everyone for your time and sharing your experiences. Thanks everyone. Have a good day.